you know, the reality is we cannot be order takers, we've actually got to be deal doers. So we're all finding it tougher to do deals. I know across the board, Hibiscus Coast has been experiencing that for probably a decent 18 months. We've heard that's starting to catch up and sort of flow through the north. So we've asked Lynette and Steve have, you know, come along as experienced negotiators to help us out. So I'll refer to you guys a bit if that's all right. And we're just going to talk about examples, talk about some tough deals, talk about some tips and things that can help us close deals in this market. For those that have been through a tough market where the buyers don't want to do what you want them to do, you know, been there, done that, there are things we can do. Reality is it's a lot of patience, it takes longer, but there are some tricks that we can use. So let's talk about that today. First off, we're just going to talk about some theory, and then we're going to do a bit of work and talk about some practical, because I actually want you guys to take away some practical tips today, not just actually go, yeah, well, that's the theory of deal doing, right? So just some top tips for negotiation. These might seem really basic, but I think in a hot market we do forget some of these things, so I do want to go through them. First off is, wherever possible, get face to face with the parties. Laziness, no excuse. At the end of the day, if you can get in front of the buyer or the vendor, you must get in front of them. What we pick up, and they reckon the theory is there's something like 90% of communication is non-verbal. So how on earth can we be reading the situation well if we're missing 90% of the conversation? So that is about getting in front of someone and actually reading where they're at through their non-verbal. So that is pretty crucial, guys. And this one, get it on paper, don't negotiate verbally, there is less commitment and it isn't a real offer. Again, this is laziness, but also a lot of people feel like, oh, it's a cheeky offer, it's too low, the vendor won't take it, therefore I'll just do it verbally. Okay, it doesn't count. At the end of the day, unless it's on paper, it's not real. And you need to make an effort, and even a cheeky offer, at the end of the day, can be a really great pre-frame to the next offer. Plus you also don't know actually how much the buyer will pay, and if they're only giving you a verbal offer and they don't want to put it on paper, guys, they're actually not committed to the process. And we've all had those situations. I've had them in the early days, selling through the sort of the late 90s and early 2000s. It was a really tough market when I learned to sell, and you know, I fell into that trap as a rookie, taking a verbal offer from a buyer and negotiating it verbally, and then of course the buyer, when it came to, yeah, we're close, let's get this on paper, of course the buyer wouldn't go on paper and actually went off and bought something else. And I learned afterwards that he was busy negotiating on 3 things verbally, waiting to see who would accept, you know, his cheeky offer. So that's why you don't fall into those traps, because you don't know what's going on. And the buyer could well be playing that game with 3 other agents in the market, and all you've done is put your vendor through hell for not a real offer. So just be really careful about falling into that trap. Get it on paper or it's not an offer. This is a key one, and I think this one we forget often. Keep the parties liking each other. The minute they stop liking each other, the deal will be very unlikely. And where this happens, guys, is where the buyers and the vendors don't meet each other. So the only way they can stop liking each other is through you, because you're the facilitator. Okay? So do not fall into the trap, and I hear lots of salespeople do this, of the buyers being really tough, or this buyer's not very nice, or you know, the buyer won't do this, or the buyer won't do that. Guys, that's just, if you're saying that to your vendor, all you're doing is making your vendor not like your buyer. In the same way, if you're saying to the vendor, to the buyer, oh, the vendor's really stubborn on their price, or they don't want to do this, or they don't want to, you need to change your language in that regard. Okay? They must like each other. If they stop liking each other, you won't get that deal done. They don't have to be besties, right? They don't even know each other. But reality is, you need to be the facilitator and not go. I mean, I've heard an agent, it wasn't a Bailey's agent, say, oh, I'm just